Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Sayyida Alisha Farwa and I'm a student of MPhil Psychology, Fatma Jannah Women University. Today I'm going to present my research defense or thesis for my final project of qualitative and quantitative research to Dr. Sajda. My group members include Zahra, Saira Bibi, Ariba Khalil, Alusa Munir, and Sahar Aftab. The topic of our research is understanding the relationship between adverse childhood experiences, self compassion, and psychopathy among early adults, youth in Pakistan, a mixed study. So, moving on to our abstract. This study employed a mixed methods cross-sectional design to examine the relationship between psychopathy, self-compassion, adverse childhood experiences, and perceived social support in early adulthood, ages 18 to 35 from Pakistan. Using a purposive convenience sampling, 80 participants completed standardized self-reports while five individuals, which were selected using purposive sampling, who scored higher on adverse childhood experiences score, were selected for semi-structured interviews. Qualitative analysis explored predictive relationship among variables, while thematic analysis explored in-depth insights into the participants' emotional regulations, interpersonal relationship, and resilience. Our findings aim to inform trauma-informed interventions that target psychopathic traits by enhancing self-compassion and perceived social support. Our results indicated that psychopathy was positively predicted by adverse childhood experiences and negatively by self-compassion. Significant gender differences emerged, including males were reported to have higher level of psychopathy and adverse childhood experiences as compared to female, who reported to have higher level of self-compassion and social support. Moreover, it was found that lower socioeconomic status was linked to higher level of psychopathy, adverse childhood experiences, and lower self-compassion and social support. So, moving on to the overview or the content of our slide, we are going to discuss the introduction, literature review, theoretical framework, rationale, objectives, hypothesis, methodology, results, and implementation, and limitations, and lastly, the conclusion of our study. So, introduction. Adverse childhood experiences, as you all know, include abuse, neglect, household dysfunction. They can significantly impair emotional development and are linked to emergence of psychopathic traits like impulsivity, emotional detachment, reduced empathy, and are often linked to disrupt the brain region responsible for empathy and emotional regulations, according to Blair 2004, Weir and Wisdom 1996, and Felici et al. 1998. As you all know, that psychopathy is literally the opposite of empathy. Psychopaths cannot feel the pain of others, they lack empathy. So basically, adverse childhood experiences do is that they extract the essence that and the brain development that leads to empathetic experiences and empathy and development of emotional regulation in a person, and which literally leads to development of psychopathic traits. So, psychopathy. It was once viewed as a forensic and criminal term, but is now recognized as a multidimensional concept and is widely used in non-clinical and clinical population, supporting trauma-informed models and personality developments. So, while adverse childhood experiences increase vulnerability, protective factors such as self compassion and social support buffer against them, and they diminish the risk of developing the maladaptive traits. So, basically, they are inversely related to psychopathy. In the context of Pakistan, where gender roles and socioeconomic inequalities intersect uniquely with mental health outcomes, these research topics remain under research. This mixed method study explores the interrelation between adverse childhood experiences, self compassion, social support, psychopathic traits among early adults, offering culturally grounded insight for trauma informed policy and practice. Now, moving on to the literature review, we have in depth studies from various researchers, including Dr. Felicia Hare, Kimonius Wheeler, Dr. Christine Neff, Eisenberg Berry, and I apologize if I mispronounce any name. So basically, according to them, like Dr. Felicia here, developmental psychology shows that adverse childhood experiences disrupt emotional development and attachment, which definitely leads to the development of psychopathic traits, and then hinder the normal functioning and leads to development of antisocial behavior. Christine Neff is known as the founder or and the developer or for self-compassion, and self-compassion usually act as a buffer against these kind of feelings. So basically, it self-compassion fosters emotional warmth and accountability, which is definitively a buffer against psychopathic and adverse childhood experiences and trauma. And Dr. Gimonius Wheeler, like there were multiple studies that reinforce that adverse childhood experiences exposure correlates highly with the psychopathy in adolescents and adults. Children exposed to abuse, neglect, and unstable household um, are usually develop callous and unemotional traits and impulsivity, which definitely are related to psychopathy. Empirical findings show of Dr. Barry shows that higher self-compassion leads to lower level of psychopathic traits and improved effective functioning. Adolescents with higher self-compassion exhibit lower, fewer externalizing behaviors and increase pro-social sensitivity, according to Barry et al., Neff and Fromier, and Eisenberg. And moving to our demographic variables, we have Dr. Evans Shannon, Dr. Titus Lynch, Dr. Tambra Screamer, Dr. Afifi Verona, all of which have suggested that the lower they have suggested the same things that we have already studied, that the lower self-compassion, lower social economic status is linked with chronic stress, community violence, poor emotional regulation, and it also impedes it hinders self-compassion and social support, and gender disparities also reveal that male usually experience higher level of adverse childhood experiences and more psychopathic traits, and females are usually associated with more social support seeking and more pro-social behaviors, while men tend to repress their feelings. So, moving on to our theoretical framework, we selected two main theories for our entire study. One was self compassion theory, and the other one was trauma theory. Trauma theory, as you all can see, trauma theory basically is a simple theory which was developed by Judith Herman in her book Trauma and Recovery. It was influenced by Ronnie Janoff Bowman, 1992. Shattered assumption theory, also supported by um, SAM HSA Institute, 2014, defining trauma in public health. So basically, what this theory says is that when you're exposed to trauma, you develop such feelings as you develop beliefs as you discharge things like betrayal, powerlessness. You feel powerless, and you feel stigmatization, betrayal, which led to the development of maladaptive relationship and psychological distress. So basically, trauma theory explains how traumatic experiences can deeply affect a person thought, emotion, behavior, and development over time. Key ideas are the same as abuse, neglect, household dysfunction. They can disrupt your normal development and can lead to a long-term mental health issues. A core component of these trauma theory include trauma exposure. It can be at your home, it can be at your school or your workplace. Like when we're talking to about trauma, we are talking about childhood trauma specifically here. And then development disruption, when you have traumatic exposure, uh, your brain does not start function like a normal person anymore. Some it interrupts brain and emotional development, which leads to attachment issues, lack of emotional regulation, and shattered assumptions of relating to the Janoff Bullman 1992 theory. It says that trauma breaks our core beliefs as that of I am worthy or the world is fair or safe, and it leads to the development of negative core beliefs like the world is not a great place to live in. And moreover, trauma leaves lasting effect without intervention. Like a person can become emotionally detached and disassociated. How is it related to our research? As you all know, adverse childhood experiences is related to early trauma, and early trauma it may increase the risk of psychopathy and psychopathic traits like emotional instabilities and impulsivity. Trauma breaks emotional regulation. You cannot regulate your emotions normally like a normal person does. And as adverse childhood experiences and leads to adverse childhood experiences definitively means trauma, and trauma leads to emotional dysregulation. Then it leads to definitively leads to psychopathy or psychopathic traits, development of psychopathic traits, and thus impairment of functioning as a normal human being. Why it matters in Pakistan? It matters in Pakistan because many young adults suffer from these kind of issues, and due to stigma or lack of support, they often go untreated. And this theory also support our goal to understand how adverse childhood experiences are related to psychopathy, and how self-compassion and social support can actually buffer the effect and reduce the effect of these traumatic experiences. Moving on to our next theory, self-compassion theory. It was developed by Christine Neff, and it focuses on how individual can relate themselves in time of suffering, not through hard judgment, but by understanding and emotional balance. In our study, it highlights that self-compassion can protect early adults in Pakistan from negative effect of adverse childhood experiences and lower psychopathic traits by improving emotional coping. So it has six main components: three positive and three negative. Self kindness, which means that being kind to oneself instead of being harsh. Humanity, which means that suffering and failure, recognizing that suffering and failure are part of normal human experience. And mindfulness, which means balancing and non-judgmental awareness of one's emotions. Moving on to the negative part of the self-compassion, self-compassion theory, and the inverse related reverse items or inverse items of the positive parts. Self-judgment, which is the opposite of self-kindness. It means being harsh about yourself and self-blaming, and attaching shame to yourself. Isolation, which is the opposite of common humanity. This means that causing withdrawal and disconnection, and which is the opposite of social support. Over identification means being too attached to negative thoughts and emotions, which impairs normal self regulation and leads to emotional dysregulation, potentially escalating aggression, impulsivity, and manipulative behaviors. And how it is related to our research, then again, adverse childhood experiences often create harsh self-judgment and emotional wounds. Self-compassion theory help contradicts trauma effect by fostering emotional resilience and self-regulation. High self-compassion reduce impulsivity, shame, and emotional loving. And this theory support our aim that self-compassion can act as a buffer against adverse childhood experiences and psychopathy, and encourage that healing and internal safety instead of detachment and isolation. Why it matters in Pakistan? Because youth face high level of childhood adversity once again, which due to stigmatization often goes unaddressed, and also due to cultural also due to being culturally relevant and being low cost, it can be easily implemented in the society. And our studies sports integrating self-compassion practices into early intervention programs. So, moving on to the rationale, the reasoning why we are conducting this study. We are conducting this study because, first of all, adverse childhood experiences significantly contribute to long term emotional behavior and behavioral dysfunction. Psychopathy presently is not a forensic or criminal term anymore. It can be studied on a broader basis. And in Pakistan, we lack empirical evidence specifically on topics like self compassion and social support and psychopathic traits and then adverse childhood experiences as a whole. There is no existing research in on these topics that holistically explore these topics, and we need data driven, culturally sensitive intervention to foster resilience. So, studying these topics in a collectivist and emotionally repressive culture like ours was the best thing to do. Now, moving on to the operational definitions. Operational definitions are basically the definitions which were extracted from the studies of the scales we used by the authors. By the authors' studies, the original studies of the authors of the scales we use. We use Levinson scale for to measure psychopathy. So we have used their definition of psychopathy, which are related to our research. So, according to them, psychopathy is a multidimensional construct characterized by combination of affective interpersonal traits and social deviant behaviors. Effective interpersonal component include traits such as lack of empathy, manipulativeness, superficial charm, and a lack of remorse, which mean lack of empathy. Lacking guilt. The social deviant component involves impulsivity, irresponsibility, and behavior that violates social norms and laws. These two factors together contribute to the individual's overall psychopathic profile. And self-compassion entails being kind and understanding toward oneself in instances of pain and failure, rather than being harsh and critical. Perceiving one's experiences as a part of larger human experiences rather than seeing them as isolating, and holding painful thoughts and feeling in mindful awareness rather than over identifying with them. Next, we have adverse childhood experiences and social support. The adverse childhood experiences study is assessing retrospectively and prospectively, like in the past and future, the long term impact of abuse and household dysfunction during childhood on the following outcomes in adults: disease risk factors, incidence, quality of life, healthcare utilization, and mortality. And social support, as conceptualized by Zemet et al., refers to an individual's perception of the availability of and advocacy of emotional and practical support from family, friends, and significant others. Now, moving on to the objectives of our study. For the qualitative study, first of all, we wanted to study in depth. We want to get in depth insight into the relationship between psychopathy, self compassion, and adverse childhood experiences. We wanted to explore how early adulthood adults perceive and reflect on their adverse childhood experiences in daily life. We wanted to know the subjective impact of psychopathic traits on emotional regulation, interpersonal relationship, and coping mechanism. We wanted to know the role of self-compassion in managing and coping. We wanted to investigate how social support influence emotional resilience and interpersonal functioning, and we want to identify patterns in emotional regulation, self-awareness, decision making, and to get an insight into how our adults construct narratives around trauma, self-concept, and personality. For the objectives of a quantitative study, we want to investigate the same things, a relationship, or we want to wanted to find a relationship between psychopathy, self-compassion, adverse childhood experiences, and young adults. We wanted to investigate the prevalence of psychopathy during early adulthood. We wanted to investigate the predictive role of adverse childhood experiences on psychopathy. We want to see the effect of self compassion and social support on psychopathy. We want to investigate the role of social support on psychopathy. And lastly, we want to see the role of our demographics, will include gender and socioeconomic study, socioeconomic status across our study. So coming on to moving on to the hypothesis of our study, hypotheses include there is going to be a positive relation between adverse childhood experiences and psychopathy among young adults. There is a negative relation between self-compassion and psychopathy among adults. Higher level of social support and self-compassion will significantly predict lower levels of psychopathic traits in young adults. There are significant gender differences in level of adverse childhood experiences, self compassion, psychopathy, and social support. There are significant socioeconomic status differences across study variables. So, moving on to the methodology, as you all know, we utilized mixed methods cross sectional research design, which means we included qualitative and quantitative design. And we included adults from between the age, early adults, youth, which from the age of 18 to 35, based on the study of WHO and WHO, basically, and the United Nations and Ericsson model. So basically, for quantitative information research, we gather in our data through questionnaires, and for qualitative, we conducted semi-structured interviews. For quantitative data, as I already said, we collected data. We recruited individuals from universities and workplace, urban areas. The individuals' inclusion criteria included that they must be people from 18 to 35, they must speak English, and they must be willing to participate on their own. An exclusion criteria was that they should not have any clinical psychiatric diagnosis, they should not be cognitively impaired, and they should not be below the age of the one we have mentioned. For studying like our data, for studying our data, the standardized self-report questionnaires that we used include Levinson self-report psychopathy scale, self-compassion scale short form, adverse childhood experiences questionnaire, and multidimensional scale of perceived social support. And quantitative, we like the procedure was that at first we gave them clear explanation. Ethical approval was also taken from our institute. Written informed consent was taken from them before participation. We informed them about their right to withdraw, confidentiality, and anonymity, and all questions were addressed on the real time on the spot. And the average time to fill the form was 10 to 15 minutes. For data analysis, we use SPSS, and we calculated our data in descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Okay, for the scales that we included, Levinson self-report psychopathy scale was developed by Dr. Sarah Levinson et al. 1995, and the purpose of the scale was to assess psychopathic traits in non-institutionalized non-institutionalized population. It included 26 report items. It was a 5-point Likert scale from one strongly disagree to strongly agree. Subscales included two main groups: primary psychopathy and secondary psychopathy. Primary included affective interpersonal traits like manipulativeness, superficial charm, emotional detachment, and the secondary included impulsivity, social deviance, and antisocial behavior. Scoring was basically it ranged from 13 to 65. All things were summed. There was no inverse scoring. Everything just has to be summed. So factor one was 13 to 65, and then 35 13 to basically low score was under 60, moderate, and the highest was above 91. And there was it was highly reliable and highly valid, like it had conversion and construct validity, and it can also be used cross culturally. So moving on to the self-compassion scale, or short form, which was based and developed by Dr. Christine Neff, and the short version was developed by Philip Reis et al. Philip led it, and Christine Neff was also included in the study. It was the purpose was simple to measure the the six domains from the original scale, but more efficiently. And it is a 12-item scale, 5-point Likert scale, and it include the six main components that we already discussed, which includes self kindness, mindfulness, common humanity, self judgment, isolation, and over identification. And the procedure of scoring is basically we have to reverse score the negative items, the negative components, and then we have to calculate the mean of the subscale, and lastly the overall score by average of the six subscale and mean. And it has high internal consistency and validity. It was validated in both Dutch and English speaking population. And our second last scale, Adverse Childhood Experiences, was developed by Felici et al. 1998. It was a simple yes and no dichotomous scale, 10 items, and 1 point for each item. It showed high reliability, and it was validated across adolescent and adult sample. It had two major subscale, abuse and neglect 1 to 5, and household dysfunction. In some studies, these subscales are often divided into three categories as well: abuse, neglect, and the third one, household dysfunction. But we have kept it under two categories as per it was in the scales original document. So, adverse childhood experiences questionnaire include that the abuse and neglect items include emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual emotional neglect, and physical neglect. And then household dysfunction include domestic violence, mental illness in household, parental separation, divorce, substance abuse in household, incarcerated household member, which mean a member if a household member has been sent to jail. And so our last multidimensional scale of perceived social support was developed by Zamit et al. 1998. It is also a 12-item scale, and it is a 7-point Likert scale, and it includes three main subscales, which are friends, family, and significant others. You have to find the average of the relevant item and the average of all the subscales. And it was also highly reliable and highly valid, and it was also used cross culturally, like Vakas et al. In 2021 used it on Pakistani population of pregnant women. It assess the perceived protective social support um, for identifying mental health issues like depression and anxiety. And moving on to the qualitative aspect of the methodology, we included five participants who voluntarily participated in the interviews based on the ones who scored higher on the adverse childhood experiences scale. And we used convenience purposive sampling for this. Uh, as I already mentioned, that we use a semi-structured interview. It was conducted in a private setting. Audio was recorded with a participant's permission, and the transcript was shared only if the participant allowed. And we explored their lived experiences, early life adversities, emotional regulation, interpersonal relationship coping strategies. We used open-ended questions to get in-depth insight into their lives, and it took approximately 35 to 40 minutes per interview. And we used Delve tool, and also calculated manually to get the results. First we did coding, and then from the reoccurring pattern of coding, we identified few themes and came to the results. So ethical consideration we ethical consideration was followed throughout the research. We first of all got approval from the valid channels. We also made them aware of our aim. They were informed about their rights to withdraw, their confidentiality right. We also informed them. We took a written informed consent from them, and all other informed ethical considerations were kept under view. So moving on to the quantitative results part and basically the overall results part. So basically, in the table one, as you can see, we had 15% of male population and 85% of female population. Um 30% of people were belonging to low socioeconomic status, 45% were belonging to middle economic status, and 25 were belonging to upper socioeconomic status. And then in the table two, we conducted psychometric properties including means and deviation, reliability, kurtosis, and skeunosis. And reliability ranged from 0.52 to 0.92, and also the kurtoses were lying between -2 to +2, which confirms the normality of the data for regression and the reliability of the questionnaire. So moving on, we conducted item total correlations of the scales, and for the adverse childhood experiences scale, we gained a very great like correlation from zero point 0.3 to 0.69, and for a self-compassion scale we also gained like a very great correlation score from zero point 0.3 to zero point 0.6. And for the item total correlation of Levinson self-report psychopathy scale, we got a correlation coefficient of 0.3 to 0.7. Item total correlation of multidimensional scale of perceived social support also showed higher correlation of zero point 0.3 to zero point 0.6. And our interscale correlation was conducted in table 7, in which surprisingly, as expected though, self-compassion firstly was significantly and positively associated with self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. Conversely, it was negatively correlated with self judgment, isolation, and over identifications, as expected. And clearly, psychopathy scores were negatively related to self compassion and positively with adverse childhood experiences. And all subscales of perceived social support were positively interrelated and negatively associated with psychopathy, adverse childhood experiences, and negative self relating processes. So basically, we had good inter scale correlations. Negative items were negatively related, and positive items were positively related. Then we conducted our regression analysis on the three variables, and psychopathy. We found that the psychopathy was positively predict adverse childhood experiences, or vice versa. Adverse childhood experiences positively predict psychopathy with a variance of 62% and zero point 0.20 beta score, and psychopathy negatively predicts self-compassion and accounts for 58% of variance. Social support was also related to psychopathy. However, the results were not that strong, but also we did not wanted to it was not that important. We just wanted to study the relationship of like overall relationship with the scale. Okay, moving on to the table 9, where we are going to see the gender differences. Gender differences were studied using t-test. Male scored higher on psychopathy and also reported more adverse childhood experiences as compared to female, and female showed greater self-compassion and higher perceived social support. And lastly, our 10th table showed the socioeconomic status differences, and low socioeconomic status was significantly related to higher psychopathy and reported more adverse childhood experiences. Um, uh, as compared to those from upper socioeconomic status, and also lower socioeconomic status youth also showed lower level of self-compassion and felt less social support as compared to the um, higher or upper socioeconomic status groups. Now moving on to the qualitative research. Firstly, we made the codes manually and by Delph tool. It had almost 25 codes were made, including parental conflict, emotional neglect, caretaker dysfunction, parentification, isolation, journaling as coping, spiritual coping, therapeutic healing, martial arts and discipline, emerging compassion, low self esteem or self worth, empathy for others, uh, internalized shame, so and so on. So almost 20 plus codes were made, and then these codes were mapped to final themes, which include adverse, which resulted in six total themes: adverse childhood experiences and emotional neglect, pragmatic family dynamic and role strain, internalized shame, low self-worth, and academic self-report, academic pressure, sorry, empathy, moral sensitivity and redemptive identity, coping strategies and emotional dysregulation, journey toward resilience, self-compassion and spiritual grounding. So basically, adverse childhood experiences are marked by abuse, chaos, and emotional unavailability. As the client or the participant said, no one asked if I was okay. And a fragmented family, they had parents or like fragmented dynamic or and they had emotional strain, they mentioned that I had to be strong, no crying allowed. They had internalized shame and moral sensitivity. However, they had moral sensitivity and redemptive identity, even though they were suffering and all, but they still chose to be resilient. They do not wanted to let those things overcome their or hinder their path, but they were more like I want to break the cycle. They chose careers they often many of them said that they wanted to be teachers or psychologists to understand the things they're going through, and they want to break the cycle and the chain. They had coping and emotional dysregulation. Intense emotions were met with the healthy and unhealthy coping, including art, isolation, and martial arts. And lastly, rebuilding building through self compassion and in spiritual grounding, faith, friendship, therapy, and mindfulness. One of the participants mentioned that maybe I deserve kindness too, and God gave me this test for a reason, and many more other things that they mentioned. So basically, these themes have highlight the dynamic results we've got from our interviews. Now, coming to our discussion, quantitative discussion, as you all know, firstly, that we explored the interplay of adverse childhood experiences, psychopathy, and self compassion and social support in the early adults of Pakistan using mixed methods. Earlier adversity predicts psychological challenges, but resilience is possible through protective factors. This was our key takeaway. We found that early adversity predicts psychological challenges, yes, and may, you know, lead to developing some of the psychopathic traits, but protective factors like self compassion and social support can lead to developing resilience against them. So firstly, positive. There was a positive correlation between adverse childhood experiences and psychopathic traits. Emotional neglect and abuse are linked to detachment and impulsivity. It was confirmed by two of the other studies, Han et al. And Yildirim and Dirksen study 2015. Self-compassion act as a buffer. It had negative correlation with psychopathy, which reaffirms the studies of Neff 2003 and Zeller et al. 2015. Um, Social support plays a really important role, and it was inversely related to psychopathy, though the regression was not strong. However, it still mitigates stress, and these studies then again reform the study of Cohen and Wills et al. 1985. And then moving on to the socioeconomic status and gender differences. Socioeconomic status, lower socioeconomic status was associated with um, negative variables like adverse childhood experiences and higher psychopathy rates and lower self-compassion and social support, which was also reaffirmed by Evans and Kim study of 2013, which studied at how socioeconomic status was linked with reduced coping resources and mental health disparities. And in gender differences, male often reported higher adverse childhood experiences and psychopathy, maybe because of cultural masculinity expectation. They used to suppress their emotions, and this reaffirms this previous studies. And females were associated with higher self-compassion and social support, which reaffirmed the study of Tamras et al. And Neff and McGee 2010. Once again, sorry, apologies for any mispronunciation of name. In Pakistan, we have, as you all know, that there are some culturally aligned gender roles. Boys face uh, there is an expectation from boys to be very masculine, and the girls are then expected to be more socialized. And uh, maybe because of that, we found these things in our results as well. So the qualitative studies, as we already found that adverse childhood experiences and emotional neglect, fragmented family dynamics, and role strain, internalized shame, and low self-worth, all of the self-worth and academic pressure, we all of these things reaffirm the previously studied things like Very Well Mind article 2023 and New Yorker study 2011 and Adlende now 2023 study. All of these things were found in the participants, that how many encountered abuse and lack of social support at home, and early assumptions of adulthood, adult responsibilities and familiar conflict burdened them, and how they felt in shame and low self-worth and academic pressure. However, they still developed coping strategies. Some were bad, but some were really good, like some were adaptive and some were maladaptive. A lot of them were very empathetic. They had moral sensitivity and they wanted to develop a new identity. They wanted to break cycles. And they wanted to move on to something greater, and they wanted to understand the things that were going on with them. And similarly, they adopted coping strategies like some started journaling, participating in martial arts, other isolated themselves, and some associated these things with spirituality, and associated the like accepted these things and moved on with it as a part of like the Neff's theory. Common humanity says that to accept and move on, they did that. So they had surprisingly and amazingly, they had a great resilience, and the spiritual factors, self-compassion added acted as a buffer against the development of psychopathic traits and uh, emotional dysfunctioning. So holistically, once again, psychopathy, adverse childhood experiences and psychopathy uh, were positively correlated, and participant narrative revealed that histories of emotional neglect, familial abuse, and fragmenting attachment, which align with traits linked to psychopathy, such as emotional detachment, mistrust, and dysregulation. Protective factors such as self-compassion and social support, both were negatively related to psychopathy and adverse childhood experiences. And participants discussed that healing through journaling, martial arts, spiritual grounding, and therapeutic relationship emphasized the inner kindness and community in coping. And then moving on to the socioeconomic status and gender disparities, which were like the lower socioeconomic status had higher adverse childhood adverse childhood experiences and psychopathy score and lower protective factors, and males had more adverse childhood experiences while female were more social and self-compassionate. So, qualitative insight also described that male described emotional suppression and familial role burdens. Female reflected on deeper emotional networks and spiritual coping. As one of them mentioned that they would used to talk to their friends. From trauma to resilience and redemptive arc. This was one of the important fighting that. Even though they had a very traumatic past and they were suffering, but a lot of them uh, recognize internally that they should move on and they should develop something that is better for themselves and for the society. They were empathetic and they had moral clarity, and there were chances for them to grow if more social support, more self compassion exercises, more interventions were to be provided to them. So moving on to the implication of our studies, implications mean how we can implement these things in our society. We can implement trauma-informed intervention in youth mental health services to reduce long-term psychopathic tendencies linked to adverse childhood experiences. We should integrate uh, self-compassion training into academic and clinical settings to buffer emotional dysregulation and self-criticism. And we should specifically develop gender-sensitive and mental health programs specifically targeting male um, who are less likely to seek help and are more prone to emotional suppression. We should enhance peer and community support system in low socioeconomic status areas. We should incorporate expressive and spiritual coping methods. We should encourage early family based interventions. We should train school psychologists and counselors to detect trauma and neglect signs and to send such students to emotional support programs. And uh, we should support identity and reconstruction and meaning making processes in therapy. So, what are the limitations of our studies? Our studies also had some limitations. Obviously, we are humans, and this was our final project. So, firstly, we had used cross-sectional design, which can like limits our causal inferences, cause and effect between these variables. Also, our studies prone to social desirability or recall based bias, like some people, as in qualitative study interview, some people may experience recall bias and social desirability. Some people might have answered questions in a way that was deemed more socially desirable. Also, our sample lacked geographic and ethnic diversity. Not all socio-cultural groups were included in our study, so it restricts generalization. Quantitative scale may not capture cultural nuances or differences in emotional expression because quantitative state scale was limited. Also, sample size was limited for qualitative and quantitative again. So we are still our studies still cannot reflect the in-depth dynamic that could be studied on a larger scale, including 100, 200, or maybe 1000 participants. And social support was not a primary variable. um, Obviously, because our primary variables were different, so this could also be done for future studies, and these things could be done to improve the future like future studies conducted on these topics. Also, some participants were online recruited, like Google Forms were used in some cases. So that like limit the marginalized communities and from urban youth. The data was collected only from the urban youth and who were tech literate. So it also excludes the marginalized population. And also, lastly, um, there were no clinical diagnosis tool used in the study. So it also limits insight into that direction as well. Lastly, conclusion. The conclusion is that this mixed method study highlights how adverse childhood experiences significantly correlate with psychopathic traits, particularly among low socioeconomic status and male youth in Pakistan. Self compassion and perceived social support emerge as protective buffers, with female reporting higher level of both. Thematics analysis revealed deep rooted emotional neglect, family dysfunction, and shame, yet also uncover resilience and moral growth and spiritual coping. These findings underscore the urgent need for trauma informed, culturally sensitive intervention targeting emotional regulation, self worth, promoting self compassion, emotional literacy, and support network that could reduce maladaptive behaviors, traits, and enhance psychological resilience in early adulthood. So thank you so much, everyone, and I'm really grateful for you all to staying in this almost 50-minute long video. Thank you so much. Have a really, really good and great day, and I hope I was able to inspire you for something new and provide you insight into something interesting. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a really great day. Allah Hafiz.